Welcome to Ogle's channel, thanks for watching today, and let's talk about the Wily Wars that's just recently released on the Switch Online on the Sega Genesis. The Mega Man game where Dr. Light is having a really rough time with dry eye and chewing, it seems like. I don't know. But this game is actually a really great collection of Mega Man games, 1, 2, and 3, and we never got here in the United States. It was released, of course, over in well, pretty much everywhere. We did get it eventually in 2019 on the Sega Genesis Mini, but I didn't buy that, so this was my very first time playing the Wily Wars, and I got some mixed opinions on it. It's obviously a really great game. I mean, it's basing itself off the 3 Mega Man games. It's just turning from 8-bit to 16-bit. Great collection, really cool, some effects they did with that. But, man, I've got a lot of nostalgia for those original 6 games on the regular Nintendo. And it's going to be tough to dethrone those 6 games for me. I mean, they've got a Mega Man poster on my wall over there. I can clip it in here and, you can see it. But, I mean, I love those original sprites. I love the original graphics and the soundtrack. So it's going to be tough. But let's sort of break it down and see exactly what the Wily Wars does different when it comes to these first 3 Mega Man games. Now, the graphics are obviously better, but I think it's sort of hit and miss on a few things. Like, the sprites are clearly more detailed, and the inclusion of a background is generally all a pretty welcome addition. However, there are a few times where I just simply miss the simplicity of the original. It may be because it's what I grew up with, but I just really miss the simplicity of it. I think once you play something like the same way for so long, you just sort of get attached to it. I mean, I'm the same way with the Super Mario Bros. All-Stars on the SNES. I've played the original of those games for pretty much since I was 4 years old or 3 years old, and I'll still play those any day over the 16-bit versions. However, in the Wily Wars, some levels do bring a whole new feel to it, and it's cool to see all those changes. My favorite was probably the Snake Man stage in Mega Man 3. The inclusion of the brown and the details they made really made this level feel like a pretty much a different experience, and I really enjoyed that. And I'd say in a good bit, because of the 3 games, Mega Man 3 is the one that didn't change all that much. The NES was not new at the release of that particular game, and the backgrounds were noticeably better than the first 2, and therefore this collection didn't have to add quite as much to that 3rd game to make it what it is here. And so they did Snake Man stage totally different. That's pretty cool, and I like what they did there. Now, the soundtrack is also sort of hit or miss with me on this. As a general rule, I prefer 8-bit soundtracks over 16-bit soundtracks, probably because I had the regular Nintendo for the majority of my life before I ever got to SNES, and so I prefer that feel. However, there are a few moments throughout the game, like in Electric Man stage, where I thought to myself, hey, this soundtrack, or this particular track, is actually better than the original. For the most part, I do prefer the original soundtrack on these games, but I'm not going to sit here and say that none of them are better, because some of them did bring the sounds, or bring the songs, I guess, to a little bit new light for the 16-bit era. Now, the difficulty has also changed a little bit in the Wily Wars off the original 3 games here, and it's sort of cool to see what they did different. Some enemies took more hits to kill, some took fewer hits to kill, which sort of shook the gameplay up a little bit for us older Mega Man fans as we're going through it. And they also changed the placement just a bit to change it as well. Like the giant snakes in the Snake Man stage, they made it where it's significantly easier to actually hit the snakes than in the original. I mean, you just sort of have to jump up and get it, where in the original you had to time it literally just perfect. But then on the contrast, in the Woodman stage, it made it more difficult hitting the giant wolf here, just simply by making the invincibility ledge that's in the original, taking that away where you had to actually work your way through that particular spot. And while some people might be annoyed with the changes that they've done here, I personally found it sort of fun, just simply finding out what all was different in these particular games. Now, while the remastering is clearly the main draw of this collection, there is one extra addition that they did to mix it up a little bit, and that's of course the Wily Tower at the close of the game, where you get 3 individual stages, or brand new stages rather, with new robot bosses to go along with it, and it's sort of cool to see some of the stuff they mixed up on there. But the clear draw is definitely going to be just the 16-bit remastering of the 3 original games. That's the core game of the Wily Wars. And overall, it's a great collection, and it's definitely worth playing, but when it comes to personal replayability, I'm probably just going to stick to the original ones on the Mega Man collection, or just simply pull out the original games on the actual hardware. After all, that is my childhood, and if you grew up with those games, you're probably more likely to enjoy the original ones versus the remastered ones here, just because of nostalgia. If you enjoyed this video, be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, go out there, find a great game to play, just simply have a great rest of the day.